Hi guys, this is gsn.com and I'm here with a review of the Motorola One Action. At last, we unboxed it last month and now it's time for a full review. It's basically 85% of the Motorola One Vision specs coupled with a triple camera that includes an action camera. The price tag should be around $195 in India, where this phone is already pretty popular. The design is pretty much the same as the Motorola One Vision, but this one is the Motorola One Action, and you can spot that through the triple back camera. It's an Android One phone. It was launched in August. It's still pretty fresh, and let's go to its design first. So we have here the pearl white. There's also the denim blue version of the phone, and it's pretty much the same package as the Motorola One Vision. However, it feels a bit more slippery, at least for my hand. The same 21:9 format, and the thickness is 9.2 millimeters, while the weight is 176 grams. The body is made of plastic as far as I know, and the camera is cut right into the screen. I'm talking about the selfie camera, of course. Pretty big bezels for the selfie camera and big bezels for the phone itself. Probably not the slickest looking phone out there, and also a bit of a chin here in the bottom department. So I would say that the one hand usage is okay if you're going to scroll, and in general if you have a big hand you'll be able to handle the phone. Otherwise, well, not the comfiest in the world. I'll say it again, it's a bit slippery, but at least we have a bundled case, which you saw in the unboxing, and it helps with the grip. Now that the design is done and it's very much the same with the Motorola One Vision, I'm going to go with the screen. The screen here is a 6.3-incher IPS LCD, 21:9 aspect, and the resolution of 2520 over 1080 pixels. And well, I would say that it's time to test the screen, and I'm going to use our already famous video for that. Okay, here we go. We have a special test video and we're not afraid to use it, provided we can skip the advertisement. And we can also fill the screen with it. Okay, so here we go. Setting up the resolution to Full HD. That's more like it, and we're ready to fill the screen. Now, I mentioned the screen before, Full HD Plus resolution, 6.3-inch diagonal, and let's actually analyze the actual viewing experience. I would have to say that the symmetry is okay. I'm talking about the curved sides on this area and the curved sides on the other area. Pretty solid brightness, decent contrast even in the full sunlight, wide view angles, and an okay calibration of colors. I'll say it again, this cutout for the camera is a bit big and distracting, spoiling the overall symmetry, which is pretty okay in my view. The symmetry, not the hole here. Now that I'm reasonably happy with the screen calibration, brightness and all that, let's see our own tests that we perform on the device. And as usual, we start with the pixels of the screen. So let's try and find them. Okay, here we go. This is the pixel setup, pixel arrangement, RGB stripes pixels shown by the microscope, and then we did a brightness test, achieving as high as 401 lux units, which is just at the limit of being a pretty solid screen. It beats the Nokia 8.1 and it beats the Motorola One, stays below the Motorola One Vision, below the Galaxy A50 and the Galaxy A40 from Samsung. Now, if you want to do some tweaks for the screen, you're going to go here, settings, and you're going to go to the display department, and you got your brightness, night light, adaptive brightness, wallpaper, sleep, and colors can be set to saturated, boosted, or natural, so you can have your pick. Right now it's on saturated, that's why they may feel a bit intense. So a pretty decent screen overall for a mid-range phone. Now I'm going further into the specifications of the device, and I'm coming across the same CPU as the Motorola One Vision, Exynos 9609. It's basically a spin-off from the Exynos 9610 from the Galaxy A50. Octa-core, 2.2 GHz, accompanied by 4 GB of RAM here, and also 128 GB of storage, which is pretty generous. Micro SD card slot as well, and luckily the phone is able to run games like Riptide GP Renegade, PUBG, Asphalt 9, without heat, without overheating, and with a pretty decent frame rate. Now, we also did a bunch of benchmarks. I won't stress those too much. So let's see what we got here. We should have some screenshots, quite a few benchmarks, as I said before. And this is Antutu 6, and in Antutu 6 we surpassed the Motorola G7 Plus, but we score below the Huawei P30 Lite. We also have Motorola taking the new Antutu 8 test, and in that one we beat the Xiaomi Redmi Note 7. And of course we also have Geekbench 4, and let's see how that panned out. Here we go. In Geekbench 4, in the multi-core subtest, we were able to smash the Huawei P30 Lite and the Motorola Moto G7 Plus, scored below the Galaxy A50 and the Xiaomi Mi A3. Pretty much the same results as the Motorola One Vision. That's the core thing to remember here. There were no sacrifices made in the temperature department. You can see here 35.1 degrees Celsius achieved when playing the game Riptide, our typical test game, and it actually became free for a while, a few weeks ago, no longer pay for it. And then when it came to the benchmarks, we had about 37 degrees Celsius, which is still in pretty decent level. So around 35 and 37 and no overheating, which is always a good piece of news. You can see here the FLIR thermal camera analysis of the device and a heat map, and it's a-okay when it comes to the temperature. Now let's move on to the battery. So we've gotten accustomed to 4000 mAh batteries. This is not the case here. It's only 3500 mAh, but they're handled quite well. There's 10 watt charging like the One Vision, and let's see how we did. We have a typical video playback test and all that. So let's check those out. Okay, so we go here and we go here, and this is the first test, the video playback one. We achieved 11 hours and 49 minutes in the video playback department. It beats the Google Pixel 3 XL, Motorola One Vision, and the Huawei P30 Lite. It scores below the Xiaomi Mi A3, Galaxy A50 and Galaxy A40. More importantly, the continuous usage test in PC Mark is more impressive, 9 hours and 53 minutes. It's quite good actually. It beats the Motorola One Vision, Samsung Galaxy A40 and Huawei P30 Lite. Scores below the Galaxy A50 and the Xiaomi Mi A3, just so you know. Now the charging was a bit on the long side and a bit of a letdown for me, 2 hours and 31 minutes. And after 1 hour of charging, you're at 58%. The power saving options are rather typical and stock, nothing fancy to remember here. And when it comes to acoustics, we have a singular speaker at the bottom side. Some Motorola phones rely on the earpiece, which is very small here, but this one relies on the singular speaker at the bottom, which will not cover in landscape. It delivers a pretty loud and clear experience with a decent bass, a nice voice, particularly in the movie dialogues, and it didn't feel like it's exaggerated at top level. Okay, so we also have Dolby audio settings here, Dolby Smart Audio. You can set it to Smart Audio, Music or Movie. And then we did a bunch of tests. We have a special tool, we call it Decibel Meter, and let's see what it showed us. So first of all, we started off with the acoustic sample test. We achieved 84.6 decibels, which is, I would say, decent. Beats Motorola One and Huawei Mate 20 Lite. Scores below the Xiaomi Redmi Note 7 and also below the Xiaomi Mi A3. And then when we played games, things got a bit higher, 98.4 decibels. Usually in this department we go above 100 decibels, but this is still okay. It's inferior to the Xiaomi Redmi Note 7 and the Mi A3, but it beats the Galaxy A70 and A20e. And luckily this phone still keeps its audio jack intact here. Okay, now it's time to talk about the camera. There have been changes from the Motorola One Vision for sure. So for starters, we don't have a 48 megapixel camera and we do not have a dual camera, we have a triple camera. Dual LED, dual tone flash below it, and this combo here is pretty interesting. So we have a main camera, which is a 12 megapixel shooter with f1.8 aperture. We have a bokeh camera, which is a 5 megapixel shooter, and there is also a 16 megapixel camera, which is the ultra wide one, video only, and it's actually rotated 90 degrees, so we can take the wide angle action videos only in portrait mode. It can shoot 4K via the back camera, and guess what? We have a 12 megapixel selfie camera which can shoot 4K as well. Pretty badass. The options are pretty straightforward. We got portrait, cutout, spot color, cinematograph and all that in the camera department. I'm going to skip all of those and go straight to the photos because I think I have once again taken too many shots. And this is the best proof for it. Okay, so there are two instances, actually three of them. So first there was a music festival, then we took some low light samples, and then we got back in town and took the regular shots. So let's take them one by one. Okay, so here we go. Let's take things from the start. I'm going to start here. One of the first things I noticed on the Motorola One Action is that it captures colors in a more realistic and less oversaturated way compared to the Motorola One Vision, and also compared to the Huawei P30 Lite. So when it comes to colors, it's doing better than the Huawei P30 Lite and better than the Motorola One Vision. Keep that in mind. The HDR is also pretty nice, it highlights the clouds properly, and I'm also reasonably happy with the selfies, even though the camera has a nasty habit of focusing on what's behind me and not on my face. I noticed that quite a few times, and I also saw it on the Galaxy A50. It's probably on account of the lack of the autofocus. So we should be pretty much on par with what the Galaxy A50 is delivering, and you should get the ideal distance for a selfie if you really want to make a good one and get the proper focus. I'm not saying they're bad, just not properly focused. But when you do focus them, they're okay. Also some special effects like the black and white, the studio effects, pretty nice to have on a sub $200 phone. Okay, we proceed further. Quite a few selfies, I have to say. And here we also got into the bokeh, which is actually not that bad. I feel that it cuts the head within the background pretty okay. Doesn't cut the headphones or the hair like some other phones out there, pretty decently. I would actually recommend you took more bokeh shots instead of the regular ones. And now we go to the other tests. This is a peacock, and we zoomed into it, and the zoom is pretty disappointing on account of the quantity of noise, grain, and all that. So there's that. Once again, good color calibration, loving the reds, loving the blues, and the vegetation is spot on, even though it was a very hot day, 30+ degrees, and could have been overexposed, but it's not. Okay, we have some details here and close-ups, nice landscape shots as well. This is the panorama, which is not very curved and not very distorted, so thumbs up for that. So that's about it. We also play with the spot color features. You can tell I'm pretty happy with the quality here. Some things to remember here: we could fight on par with the Huawei P30 Lite, Xiaomi Mi A3 and the Galaxy A50. However, we do not have wide-angle photos. We do have better colors than the Galaxy A40, Huawei P30 Lite and Motorola One Vision, and bokeh is rather solid with the front camera at least, and the main camera also produces a pretty decent bokeh, as you can see here, a nice portrait shot. So in the end, not bad. I'm picking this on over the Motorola One Vision on account of its improved colors. Okay, so then we go to the nighttime shots, low light basically, and this is how we did. Now remember, Motorola One Vision was a champion for low light capture, and this one it's a bit darker, but it catches light okay. I'm talking about light sources like this and also like this. So lights are okay, and you can see a bunch of flags here with a pretty decent color calibration. Not bad, but the Motorola One Vision was too much of a champion to be compared to this one. There are some moved and gray shots, but the overall impression is positive for the Motorola One Action. Nice clarity, good focus, good colors. Feels inferior to the Xiaomi Mi A3 and the Motorola One Vision, which share the first spot in low light capture. It beats Samsung Galaxy A50 and Huawei P30 Lite. Keep that in mind. Now that we're done with the photos and we're pretty much on par with the big shots of the mid-range department, I feel it's time to actually show you some of the videos we've taken. It feels more like a video phone. And oh my god, we have 20 videos to show you. Okay, so by the way, there was also a part of the gallery which I didn't show you. There will be more about that in the text review. I mentioned the festival before, and this is the other set of photos. It was 1 hour before sunset and also a very hot day, so not the best conditions, and also in the woods. It was a festival in the woods, lots of trees, so I consider this irrelevant. That's why I skipped them. You can tell the hair was shorter here, so it was before the other ones. A test of zoom here, and I was unimpressed, so I took them again. Now back to what I was talking about before, which is the video test. Okay, so we have 20 videos, pretty relevant. So crazy bitrate, 50 megapixels in 4K and excellent clarity. Let's actually take them one by one. So I'm going to try to remember which one is it. So first one is a regular video in an area with a lot of sun. And I would have to say that the colors are quite okay considering the sunlight and the tendency to overexpose. Less overexposed than the Motorola One Vision. That's the vibe. And a pretty decent stabilization, as you're going to find out soon enough. This is the stabilization test on the main camera, not the wide one. Descending stairs, it already feels a bit better than the Motorola One Vision, which, in spite of having optical image stabilization, it flickered a bit. Not bad so far, not bad. Okay, then follows a selfie video, a regular Full HD selfie video. Some problems with the focus and also underwhelming vegetation. I'm talking about the color of the vegetation behind me. And here we have the 4K video this time. It looks much better. So you can do a bit of vlogging if you really want to. It's only a bit better. Doesn't feel like a huge jump from the one before. And now we also have some colors. So basically, if you're filming in 4K, you'll be happy with the results. Some nice colors here. There's some burn here and there in the vegetation area on account of the sun. And then we got to the action camera and we started walking around. This is it. This is the action camera. You're going to have to hold the phone like this in portrait, and that's the result. I have to say it's a bit of a mixed bag. This is one of the good videos, but I also have one with a serious amount of flicker. You can shoot Full HD videos in 30 or 60 frames per second when stabilizing like this. Motorola promoted it as almost a GoPro, not exactly there, but still better than the average camera. This is better put to the test on a skateboard or something like that, and feels pretty decent when it comes to stabilizing and using wide angle for a video. Okay, so if you're shooting in 30 frames per second, you'll be happy. If you're shooting in 60 frames per second, there will be some overexposure. So not constant. Some of the videos I had were pretty nice, while other videos I had were, well, not as well stabilized. Okay, and there's also a video at some point here which has an amazing 120 mega per second bitrate. I had to rub my eyes when I watched it on the PC. 120 megabytes per second. And also we have some concert videos. Let's see those. Pretty solid microphone, by the way. This is it. Concert. And it's also an occasion to test the zoom, which is not very good. And of course, on account of the YouTube copyright stuff, I'm not going to show you the music. Zoom, underwhelming a bit. So the overall conclusion, it's below the Samsung Galaxy A50, which filmed quite well. It's about on par with the Huawei P30 Lite, maybe better. I like the stabilization more than the Motorola One Vision, than the things delivered there. And I like the wide camera, but I want it to be more constant. It doesn't feel constant here, so some of the videos were underwhelming with that camera. Some of the videos were quite okay. You just have to make up your mind which you're going to choose as a landmark here. Here I actually walked quite a lot in that festival among the people, and there was a bit of flicker. At least the idea counts. I'm sure you'll be able to pull off some nice videos with the camera, and I feel like I've forgotten something. So keep this in mind. It's overall below the Galaxy A50 in the video department, and also at the same time it may be the Huawei P30 Lite and some other rivals on account of having the wide angle camera. So as I said before, I also have to show you the low light video. This is it. As expected, not the best. It's very hard to deliver quality when it comes to mid-range phones and low light video capture. It's poor in quality, it's very shaky, but the colors are okay. There's a bit of motion blur, which you'll see when panning, and the zoom is, well, I would say it's a bit on the poor side. Okay, so that's about it. Underwhelming low light capture, there's that, and now it's time to do the classical test where we access Chrome and we load up our website gsmdown.com. So here we go. This is good old Chrome and this is gsmdown.com, and this is the keyboard we're going to use, which also knows swipe. And now it's time to talk about the connectivity. This is a dual SIM phone. It's got Wi-Fi dual band, 4G LTE, and of course it's got an USB Type-C port at the bottom. We have a microphone here and also a microphone at the top side. Now there's also Bluetooth 5.0, GPS, GLONASS, Galileo and BDS for the localization. There's also NFC, and we got FM radio in the mix. The calls we took were pretty loud and pretty clear, even though this is probably one of the smallest earpieces in the world. You can barely see it, and you may cover it with a part of your ear, so beware of that. We also did a bunch of speed tests, so let's see how those panned out. Speed test is the name of the application, and these are the results. A pretty impressive 249 megapers download on Wi-Fi, 25.2 megapers upload, and on 4G they were rather low, but I can blame it on the carrier, I think, and it's 14.3 megapers download, 68.1 megapers upload. That is, the upload is rather high. On the software front, there's nothing really new. If you saw my review of the Motorola One Vision, it's exactly the same on the Action. It's a stock experience, it's Android Pie. Within the Android One initiative, you're going to get 2 iterations of Android updates, which is Android 10 and Android 11, plus 3 years of security updates. You got the leftmost screen, which is meant for Google, news and useful info. You got the multitasking like this, with a bunch of horizontally scrolling windows, and the option to pull off a split screen like this. That's the split screen in a nutshell. Okay. And then we proceed further. It's a stock experience, including the widgets, which you can see here. The same experience you're going to get on a Nokia these days, on the Asus battery phones, Zenfone Max Pros, and of course the Pixel. Other than that, let's see, if you swipe down, you're treated to the notifications and quick settings, and in the settings department, nothing really new or fancy. The usual color-coded options for connectivity, apps, battery, display, sound, storage, security, and the Motorola section, which is the only customized bit of the experience. Moto Actions, fast flashlight, one button navigation, which replaces this thingy here with a single button. And of course digital well-being, so you can keep your digital obsession in check. Okay, other than that, there is the security aspect. So you saw me using the fingerprint scanner at the back quite a few times. So it's locked right now, but now it's not. I would say it's pretty fast and accurate, and got used to it. Reasonably fast, pretty nice for a mid-ranger. That's it. And when it comes to the application, obviously no bloatware, only the standard and stock package shown here, nothing out of the ordinary. There is your calculator, contacts, Chrome, there's your FM radio, maps, lens, there is your Play Store, play music, play games, photos, sheets, slides, YouTube, all of them standard and stock. So that's it in a nutshell. I feel I've shown you everything, and there's also something here for the Moto display, basically an alternative to always on display. It's time for the final moments of the review, the verdict. On the pros and cons, well, it's time for the pros. It's a cheap phone for sure, below $200. It's got a pretty good display if you ask me. Okay performance, even in games, pretty solid battery, just okay acoustics. It's better in the movies if you ask me. The pictures and videos feel superior to the Motorola One Vision. You can take 4K selfie videos, which is nice. Overall, nice colors when doing photo capture. And low light capture was also rather decent photo-wise. Plus we have a lot of megabytes in the videos, a lot of bitrate, and a clean OS, plus a nice wide-angle shooting option for video, which we don't have on other phones. Those are the pros. On the cons, it's a bit slippery if you don't apply the case. It's got those big bezels for the screen, big bezels for the camera cutout. The long charging of the battery was a bit disappointing, and the speaker isn't as loud as I've seen on other Motorolas lately. Also, there are selfie focus problems, basically the lack of autofocus. The zoom was poor in any situation. We cannot take wide-angle pictures with the wide-angle camera, and the general quality of the low-light videos was poor even for this price range. In the end, if you made me choose between the Motorola One Vision and the Motorola One Action, I'll tell you that it depends on your hobbies. If you're a skater, if you travel a lot, if you move a lot, if you like to shoot video a lot and make it look cool, wide-angle style, this is the phone for you. If you like to take static pictures in nature and during the night time, Motorola One Vision is your choice because it takes excellent low-light shots and static shots. This one can beat the Huawei P30 Lite, that's what I feel, and it's mixed. It's not exactly an action camera replacement as they promote it, but it's a different way to shoot videos while on the go. I'm not saying they're bad videos, but they're just not GoPro material just yet. In the end, you're stuck with a pretty solid phone for consuming some video, maybe also playing some games, and in general having a pretty future-proof experience, if you ask me. Okay, so that's about it. This has been the review and presentation of the Motorola One Action, the first phone with an action camera at its backside. That's what Motorola claims, and it's, well, I would say a mixed truth, and in some areas better than the Motorola One Vision. That's it from us. This has been the review of the Motorola One Action from gsn1.com, priced around $200 or less. Bye bye.